This is lesson 12-2, volume of prisms. So basically, first of all, talking about volume, it is the space that is occupied by a three-dimensional figure. It's the capacity of it. How much can it hold? Volume would be needed to know, like if you were working in heating and air conditioning, what's a volume of a house or a building, to know how much space you have to heat or cool. We are going to look at prisms today and cylinders tomorrow. They're kind of similar. So the formula that you use, the general formula is this right here. Volume is big B times H. Now you say, well, what's the big deal about it being a big B? The reason that we call it big B, it's just not a segment, it's just not a base. The big B is actually the area of the entire base. And it doesn't matter what shape it is, you've got to find the area of one of the bases. Okay, and you know the two bases are identical. So you just look at one of them, you find the area of that base. Then what you do is you take it times H, the height of the prism itself. Well, the height of the prism, sometimes it's hard to tell whether the prism is sitting on its base or whether it's laying on one of the lateral sides. And I've got one example of each. So the height is the distance between the two bases. So what you have to do for this is decide, first of all, when you're looking at the problem, what is the base? What shape is it? How do you find the area of that shape? Find the area of that shape and then take it times the height of the prism. So let's look at this first shape. What kind of prism is this one? What kind of prism is that? Rectangular prism. Okay, so that's my favorite kind because it's probably the easiest. Rectangular prism. So that means the base right here is a rectangle. How do you find the area of a rectangle? What's the formula for area of a rectangle? Okay, base times height, or we're going to say length times width today just to kind of keep it away from the word base if we can. Length times width. So look at my base. It's where it's sitting. What is the length of that base? What's the length of that base? What is it? 10. And what is the width? Kayla, 5. So what is the area of that base? 50. So I'm going to go over here to my formula, and this is what I want you to write when you're doing this. You're going to put volume equals big B times H. That's how you should start it. And then volume equals, and for big B, I'm going to insert 50 because somewhere off to the side, you're going to do the calculation of that area. So I've done that separate, and now I've plugged that in for big B. Now, the height of the prism. How tall is the prism? What's the distance between the two bases? What is that? What is it? 8 inches. So I'm going to take and put 8 in for height. Okay, 50 times 8 is 400. And when I write my final answer, I've got a label. Now, here's the thing. I have taken a length times a width times a height, which means that I've taken inches times inches times inches. How many inches have I multiplied? 3. That's why when you label these, it is inches cubed. Volume is whatever unit to the third power because you're multiplying 3 dimensions, just like we talked in the Kahoot, length, a width, and a height. Volume is labeled cubes. Any questions about that? Our second example, what kind of prism is this one? What kind of prism is this one? Yeah, it is a triangular prism. I kind of think it looks like a little tent, but it's a triangular prism which means the volume is big B times H. Let's look at the big B. It's the area of a triangle formula. What's the area of a triangle formula? How do you find the area of a triangle?
Base times height times
1/2 times base times height. We can't get a word away from that word base on this one. And if I look at it right here, this is what I'm concentrating on right now. I'm concentrating on just one of the triangular ends. That's my base. So I'm going to finish off filling out this formula. 1/2. What is the base of the triangle I have circled, Lindsay? That's not the base. That's the, it's what? So look at what's in my circle. Okay, you see that triangle in my circle? What's the base length in that triangle in the circle? 12. So 1/2 times 12, and then Lindsay, what's the height? 8. Okay, so I'm looking for the area of the base, which would be 1/2 times 12 times 8. I'm going to go ahead and do 1/2 times 12. What's 1/2 times 12? 6. And 6 times 8 is 48. So in my volume formula where I've got big B times H, I'm going to plug in 48 for the area of my base. Now the height of the prism is the distance between the two triangles. What's the distance between the two triangles? It's laying on its side. Nicole, what is it? 20. So see, that gets kind of confusing for some people. It is laying on its height, really. It's laying on the lateral face, and the lateral face is, however long that is, that's the height of the prism. You just got to remember that the bases are the two identical sides. The rectangles are really the lateral sides. They're not the bases. So 20 times 48 would be 960. And as I do this, I'm going to label it what? 960 feet cubed. All right, any questions about that? That's all of the prisms we're going to deal with. If you could do a square prism, which you know, that would just mean that you're doing your bases as squares, same as a rectangle, basically. If they give you a pentagonal prism or hexagonal or octagonal, they would have to give you the area of that base, because we don't have to figure out those areas yet. You will do that when you get into high school geometry.